Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. Today we're going to do May I Scrap Lift You, and this is B2N2 scraps, and I will have the scrap lift up in the top corner that I chose from her. She is only on Instagram, so I will have that linked below. And I pulled out my Gather collection, except for that paper in the cameras is not, but I don't use it. But I pulled out some of my scraps from the Gather that I have from Echo Park and Carta Bella. This is Carta Bella. I got it in a a kit subscription that I had a few years ago. So I've had this one for quite a while, and I've not used very much on it. So that one piece of paper you can see that I cut into, and I used a little bit of the chipboard, and that's pretty much about it. A little bit of the 6x6, but I have a good amount of this still left. So I'm going to scrap back these two pictures of my daughter, who's the blonde, her great Nana, and her cousin. So this is in November. They used to have their anniversary party, typically at Boston Pizza, just because everybody could order what they want, and it was not a whole bunch of work on anybody else. So it was just the restaurant. Nana and Papa would actually pay for everybody. It was very kind of them. I think we all would have just paid for ourselves, but they wouldn't have it, so which is totally okay. And so this is Nana with her two oldest great grandchildren and great granddaughters. So just kind of cool. My kids got to know most of their great grandparents, which I feel very blessed for. So I know I've said that on my channel before, but we have been super blessed in being able to have our kids get to know most of their great grandparents. So I'm just cutting down this floral piece to be 11.5 by 11.5, because on B2N2 she has a border, and then she's got more of a almost a solid, but it's a print in a grid. I'm gonna flip them and have my busy page up front. I did think about doing the one I'm gutting right now as the front page, but I didn't want, like, it was just a little dark, and I took a little while to pick out papers, and then I finally settled on these ones. So I did look at a color and a rainbow and all sorts of different things, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do with this today. So this actually works out really well. So I did gut that. I put it on my trimmer at 11 inches, and then I cut from 1 inch on my blade to 11. And so then that gives you that little bit of border, and then I can save that inside piece because that is pretty paper, and I will definitely use it. So I like the Carta Bella paper because it's thick and it has that texture to it. And I know some people don't like the texture. I love the texture of Carta Bella paper. I think it's so beautiful. And so I did cut my pictures to 3.5 square, I think. About 3.5 square. I don't remember exactly. They're about that. They're the same size. I'm putting them on, and then I feel like they're getting kind of lost. So here I am in a bit. I'm just going to sand the edges. And so I learned this at a scrapbook retreat class thing I had, my first weekend one ever. And a lady that I've known from ever, that I used to guide with, actually ended up being there. And she was doing this with her pictures, and I was like, that is so cool, because it gives that white border, but without the extra paper on it. So I have been doing this a little bit, and I actually got it on screen this time. So, and then I am going to try, I'm going to use that paper that's got all the little bits and pieces I fussy cut out of it, and I'm going to cut this down to 1 inch by 1 inch for a square to start with, and I think it's too small. So I'm like, but I could. And so instead of cutting all those pieces out and having them small, I took a piece of cardstock and I'm going to cut a bunch of 1-inch pieces and see what I like if I like the way that they're laying out. B2 and 2 Scraps has 3 in like a nice tidy row or 2 rows on hers, and I've got a little, my room's a little more awkward. I couldn't take as much off my pictures. I guess I could have, but I didn't want to. Like there's a little more of the table I could have taken off and just above Nana's head, but I didn't want to, so I didn't. And so then I cut, these ones are 1¼ inches, so just a bit bigger. And so that does the 3 o'clock cross. And so I'm going to do those ones because I can't get much bigger and still do 3 across. But I'm going to have that empty space in between, which I'm going to do something a little different with. But it'll not stay just pattern paper for the in behind. And then I did speed this up quite a bit because I did fiddle with my trimmer and getting this length, because I do want the 1¼ and I do want it to be like, I need 3 out of this piece, and I get it, but it's just a little fiddly because of the fussy cutting that happened in it. But there is lots of room in this one to do that with. So, and then that's not long enough. There we go. And then that's not wide enough all the way, so I'm going to use a piece on here. So I got those 3, and then I have this piece of scrap in this green plaid, and she had a green plaid, like a, well, more than just green plaid, but she had a plaid one on hers. So I'm going to do that. Hers is diagonal in stripe, but mine's not going to be because, yeah, I'm not going to. And this is also part of the Gather collection. And so I like that. I was thinking about the branding strip there, but it's not quite what I wanted. And then I'm going to pull out some of the bits and pieces from the frames and tags. I do not use any of these. No, I use one. I use the happiness eventually. But I did pull out a lot, and I'm trying to stay closer to what she's got going on, because she's got the 2 frames and all those flowers and stuff, and then the title nestled. I'm gonna go in a totally different direction, but I was trying. I even pulled flowers out on the side that I thought of using, but then I pulled out the chipboard, and these are so pretty. So I love how that rose nestles with the happiness, and I don't really need a whole bunch of journaling on this. There's actually no journaling on it right now. I might actually just do a little bit on the back for her and do like a little, just a sticky or print off something just to tell her date and who's in the photo and why, what we were doing. I think she will still remember. This Nana just passed this last fall that we had. So, and my oldest, who's in this picture, is almost 18. So she had 17 wonderful years with these great grandparents. And so the only one we have left for great grandparents is this Nana's husband. So, but anywho, she may not know that we got together every November because it was their anniversary. Who knows? But anywho, just inking these so that they're a little bit more visible. I felt like they were getting a little bit lost on the busy pattern paper. And since the other has that black background in between, I thought the black would work good for just lining it. And then I am doing 2/8 of an inch in from each picture, and then 3/8 of an inch in between the 2 end squares in the middle square. Hopefully that made sense. And then I'm just using my T-square to line them up with the other one because, yeah, it's a grid and it would drive me nuts if they weren't quite straight. So, Yay. There's my head and my gray hair. Some of it anyway. And then I am going to use this sticker from the sticker sheet to fill in this middle part. I turned it around because the spacing on the one side and the other side were a little different. And so, I don't know, it just seemed to work better. And then I'm just going to cut it with my X-Acto knife. It's a little short and a little bit not quite center for where it could be, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's on there. And the sticker could have come up, but it's okay. And then I'm going to go stitch like B2 and 2 Scraps does. So she's got it across the top photo and the first 2 squares and the bottom photo and the bottom 2 squares. And then I also put it on that middle piece because I have the middle piece. So, and then just trying to figure out what I want to do. And then I put that gather down in the middle. And so it says, let's gather together. And I really like how that sits there, so it's going to go there. So now this is going to take a little bit of a different change. It's still going to have like a diagonal feel to it. My diagonal is just going to be different. And I like that we are family, but it felt like it was getting a little bit lost on the black there. So the gather chipboard's going to go here. The happiness with the rose nestled is going to go there. This blue flower is going to come up here. And then those flowers are all in the pattern paper anyway, so it ties really nicely together. And glue this on. And that overlaps that dark border a little bit, but that's okay. I did he and ha over stickers and that kind of stuff, but I decided not, and I cut that out because I literally didn't do anything. And then the final touches are going to be these 2 black brads and these 2 pearl brads, and it pulls the black from the upper corner to the bottom corner, and I just thought the pearl finished it off nicely. So pretty. So happy with this one. Thanks to B2 and 2 for letting us Scraplift you. Thank you to Pineapple Papers for organizing this. Both of them will be linked below, as well as the playlist. Thank you if you're new here. If you are new here and would like to subscribe, my subscribe button here is on this last screen. There's also a playlist and another video that you might want to like or might like to watch. And don't forget to like. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day.